Okay, I'm gonna do a real quick video on proper form and strength utilization with archery. I was asked a question about the weight of the bow and the strength and how what did the person ask me? How do you pull the weight and hold it there? Which is a good question, because many people consider the bow I shoot heavy. I disagree. I don't think it's 64 pounds. I think that's medium weight. If you look at historical records, English longbows, this would be a training bow for a teenage boy. They were anywhere from 85 pound. On the Mary Rose, they found bows that were up to 180 plus pounds. So, but they were shooting 1/2-inch shafts, cedar shafts, very heavy arrows, very heavy bodkin points, because they need that mass to penetrate French armor. So going with form, well, starting with form first, it's all about form to me. It's all about the proper form, and I think that's from everyone who's ever helped me. You know, anyone you can watch on YouTube or look up in books, you know, Howard Hill, Byron Ferguson, all these people, they all agree on form. Fred Bear, Clay Hayes on YouTube, he talks about it a lot. Good form, bone on bone alignment, and what I mean by that is if you're drawing a bow, let me get an arrow to make it more realistic. Okay, so this is 1 over 3 under, just a standard Mediterranean draw, and I'll get to this in a minute. So what you're looking at is you want body posture. Your foot placement is important, usually a 45-degree angle with the front foot. But when you draw the bow back, I'm going to do improper form to show you first. And you're going to see this elbow. Okay? That right there, my elbow right here, that is making my arm right here really sore, just with one draw. So I don't think you have to be that strong to pull a bow back if you're doing it properly. I'm not that strong of a person. Medium strength, yeah, sure, whatever. But I'm not a weightlifter. I'm not, I'm not a muscle-bound dude that can just lift any kind of weight. But I can draw 60 to 100-pound bows, but most of it is coming from back here. And I would say, I don't know the exact given ratio, but most of it is a push and pull. I would think maybe 70-30 if I had to guess. This isn't scientific at all. This is just my opinion, and everyone has one. So when I'm shooting, I am pushing. You'll see this in, if you look up Joe Gibbs on YouTube. He's an English longbowman. He draws 160, 180 pounds easy. He's got a very unique technique that's actually written down in manuscripts that the archers used to shoot with. They pulled everything from their core, from the center of their lower back, and they utilized all their muscles in their back to push that bow out, and they brought it down to their target, and they loosed. So what you do, you see that in Kyudo as well. Japanese archery, they start high, and they're pushing half or a third maybe of the weight, and then they finish another bit, and then they come all the way back down. But they're drawing 36 inches. They're drawing back to here, to where the fletching on a 36-inch shaft touches their cheek. They kind of have a different anchor point. It's an Asian style of anchor point, with thumb draw. This is Mediterranean. So this is off the left side of the bow, shooting with 3 fingers. So pushing forward, correct form with that bone-on-bone alignment, and as in my previous videos, I'm not gripping the bow, I'm not squeezing the life out of it. I'm pretty much using these 2 fingers to stabilize it. These are resting here, And the most key important part is this part of your thumb right here. That cradles in right like this, and it sits like that. Fingers down, and then the pressure is coming. If you have correct form, it's going to be pushing straight through. Elbow, don't want to raise your shoulder, sorry. Your shoulder up. Keep it all locked down. So it should look straight in line. Now, having your back muscles engaged, when you're at draw with correct form, you should not see my elbow. Right there. Okay. Now, coming to the release thing. I cannot remember the guy's name. It's a Korean guy that's an Olympic archer. I'd probably mispronounce it anyway, so I won't try. But he in an interview, he was talking about his anchor point and his release, and they're asking about strength. He shoots a 60-pound bow for the Olympics and shoots a ton of arrows. And it's all about, he was talking about how it's all about the alignment, but really what it comes down to is not your arm strength. When you get those back muscles engaged, it really comes down to your hand strength. And that's one thing I do have. I have strong hands. Fingers, though, you have to strengthen your fingers. In archery, you have what's called a shallow hook, medium hook, and a deep hook. You'll notice a lot of younger people, beginners, children, they'll grab the bow like this. And that's okay to start out with. What you want to do is get shooting. You want to start shooting and then work on it. But they'll grab it like this. That's a lot of drag. You're losing a lot of efficiency and accuracy by dragging. So I have a between medium, that first crease in your finger, and your fingertips. I can't hold this weight with my fingertips. I come in just a little bit, but I've done it so much that my fingers are strong enough to hold that weight. And that is what's important, is you want to be able to hold that weight at your anchor point, and then you're not trying to let it go. You're actually pulling away, and that string is slipping out from your release, and your release should come straight back. So let me show you a quick demonstration of what I do when I shoot. Push back to my anchor point, cheekbone, my thumbs at my jaw. Okay. You'll notice my elbow was up because I'm shooting down. I'm shooting down a hill. If it was level, I'd have it more. And really, that might have been bad form too, because really what they talk about in old manuscripts is using your hips as the fulcrum point for where you're aiming. So if you're down like this, angle your hips back. Yeah, well that was a bullseye. So form is everything. But that finger strength, that's why I wear a glove. This is gonna hurt, but I'll show you. The draw, where I draw, and you can see, even with a glove on, my fingers are pretty gnarly. They're pretty calloused. But I'm drawing right there is where my draw is. So I would say it's deeper on the ring finger, and then my index finger is actually the one that's not pulling the hardest. I'll go ahead and draw this without a glove. I'm just going to do this once because this hurts. These strings are not the same as they were in the medieval period, made from natural materials, and they're softer, and they still, I think, used gloves or tabs or something. So even with that, push, anchor point, back tension. Okay, so you don't have to be super strong, and rule of thumb, I think, would be you want to shoot what's comfortable, and you want to shoot what you can shoot consistently without getting sore. So a good exercise, I've seen people take like workout bands and put them over their bow, maybe 15 pound, 20 pound, 30 pound maybe. Add more weight to your bow and practice drawing. Maybe 15 reps, maybe 20, whatever you're comfortable with. Practice drawing that. A good example is baseball. Baseball batters, before they're up to bat, when they're on deck, you'll see baseball batters put weights, like 2 or 3 weights on their bat, and they're swinging that bat back and forth. That way, when they get down there, it feels easier. That bat feels lighter, more nimble, more controllable. It's kind of the same idea. So if you could get to being comfortable, say you want to shoot a 45-pound bow or a 50-pound bow, which I think is the low end of the spectrum on anything, you know, that's going to give you good results if you're hunting, but also 3D shooting and target shooting. I mean, there is a limit to how low you can go. You get into the 20 pound, 18 pounds, it's just not going to be able to send that arrow powerfully enough to give you any kind of range. So I like 50 and up. But about the band thing and the practice with strengthening your fingers, good back tension, elbow back, and clean release. Practice that with some kind of device on, or maybe a heavier bow that you practice with, and then go to your main one. If you can get used to shooting 80 pounds, but you're comfortable shooting 40, practice at 80. You know, practice tuning your muscles and using proper form, and 40 will feel like nothing. I think the heaviest bow I've shot was an English longbow. I think it was 110 pounds. It was a beast. Hurt my hand more than anything. That tension on the fingers is really, really, you can really feel it. But after shooting that like 10 times, I was like, man, whew, that's a lot. I went back to a 70-pound bow, and it felt like a 30-pound bow. So that's just maybe a little tip for people out there shooting. Yeah, just shoot. And you know, maybe another video I'll get into point of aim, point of impact, and maybe some gap stuff. I'm not really good at gap, so I don't know if I should even make a video on that, because I know what I'm talking about. I just haven't done it enough to do it correctly. There's lots of other people out there that are way better with gap. But that's a specific type of shooting that works really well with static targets that are standing still, where you have to write this stuff down like in a dope book for like a sniper has all their data written down, so you know that like at 20 yards, if you put that arrow on the center of the target and it's hitting 4 inches low, you know you have to aim 4 inches higher, and you write all that stuff down. That's what a lot of hunters do to learn the trajectory of the arrow, because hunters use they're very meticulous about what they use, and really, really picky. The weight of the tip, the spine, and the total grain of the arrow itself, it all matters, because the arc is gonna affect the arrow for how heavy it is, how it flexes in the air, and how powerful your bow is. If you're beating the wind or not with a stronger weight, or are you going to use a lighter weight and you're going to kind of counter that with how you aim, and you drop the arrow in. And that's what a lot of people shoot with target shooting just for fun, is they tend to use a lighter bow. And that's why you don't have to put it through a deer or put it through a wild boar. You're just shooting target for fun, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. You know, so anyway, we'll do one more time. So I've got my foot stance, push, anchor point back, back tension. There we go. One more thing to note. I see a lot of people that wear arm guards. I'm not knocking that. The lower your brace height, which is from here to here, if it's like that, like an old English longbow would be, you might get wrist slap. I don't get any wrist slap because of the way I can't my hand out like that. I fit my thumb right there. So the string, you can see the gap right there. When the string rests, it's about an inch from my arm. So I've never had any string slap. And that was just a tip given to me by someone a long time ago. You know, just cant your hand out. If you look at old pictures of Howard Hill's a good example. They weren't holding their bows like this. But that's with like this pistol grip style. The old English longbow, they were just staves. They didn't have a shelf. So they kind of had to hold them like that. And that's why those guys wore arm guards. And they had a low brace height. Maybe like that. I think this one's, I don't know what this one is. I think it's 6.5, maybe 7. I'm not sure. But I know the English longbows had a lower brace height, and it would smack your arm pretty good. I know the one I shot did, and it hurt. So that's just a few tips for shooting. So y'all have a good one.